Most people over 60 are doing everything they were told, taking daily walks, keeping their legs elevated at night, wearing those tight compression socks, and yet they still wake up to swollen ankles, ice-cold feet, a deep burning sensation that won't quit, and a growing fear of losing their footing on the stairs. What nobody is telling you is that this standard advice, the advice handed out in waiting rooms and printed on generic wellness flyers, was never designed to fix the root cause. As a vascular specialist, DoctorLeana has watched this play out hundreds of times, and the pattern is heartbreaking because it's so preventable. Here's what the medical community doesn't talk about loudly enough. Compromised circulation in your legs after 60 isn't just a comfort issue. It's a warning signal from your cardiovascular system. When blood can't travel efficiently down to your feet and return back up to your heart, the consequences stack up fast. Wounds that won't close, infections that spread, nerve damage, dangerous instability on your feet, and in the most severe cases, limb loss. Studies confirm that nearly 1 in 5 adults over 70 has some degree of peripheral artery disease, and a significant portion have no idea. The arteries are narrowing, the veins are losing their tone, blood is sitting stagnant in the lower legs instead of cycling back where it belongs. Walking helps somewhat, but here's the truth DoctorLeana wants you to hear before anything else. Walking relies heavily on momentum and forward motion. It does not create the deliberate, targeted muscle contractions needed to overcome the specific circulation failures that develop after 60. So, what does work? It comes down to understanding one critical piece of anatomy, and once you grasp it, you'll understand why the #1 movement on this list is prescribed in vascular rehab centers around the world as though it were medication. Let's count down to it, because building the full picture matters. Starting at number 5, the foundation movement is seated ankle pumping. This looks almost insultingly simple, which is exactly why people underestimate it. But DoctorLeana will tell you this is often the very first movement prescribed after vascular surgery, specifically to prevent dangerous blood pooling in the lower limbs. Inside your calves lives what's known in medicine as the venous muscle pump, sometimes called the second heart, because it functions almost identically to cardiac muscle in terms of moving blood. When your calf contracts, it compresses the deep veins in your lower leg and physically drives blood upward against gravity. After 60, especially in people who spend long stretches sitting, this pump becomes sluggish. Ankle pumps are the manual restart. Sit in a firm chair with both feet on the floor. Then, slowly pull your toes up toward your shins while your heels stay planted. Then, push your toes down and lift your heels as though pressing a gas pedal. Slow, deliberate, controlled. 20 to 30 repetitions 2 to 3 times a day, and you don't need to carve out special time. Do it while reading, watching television, or eating breakfast. Clinical research in vascular rehabilitation shows measurable improvements in venous return and reductions in lower leg swelling from this movement alone, even in patients who cannot stand. It wakes the system up. But waking it up isn't the same as strengthening it, and that's where movement number 4 comes in. The seated leg extension is a movement that a 2024 study in the Archives of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation found improved walking speed by 28% and stair climbing ability by 45% in adults over 60 after just 8 weeks of consistent practice. DoctorLeana wants you to understand why those numbers matter beyond fitness. Walking speed is classified by physicians as the 6th vital sign because slower pace is directly tied to fall risk, functional decline, and significantly shorter lifespan. This exercise targets the quadriceps and hip flexors simultaneously, while requiring your core to stabilize throughout the movement, which means you're not just building leg strength, you're reinforcing the entire chain of muscles that keeps you upright and mobile. Sit tall in a sturdy chair with your spine pressed against the back and both feet flat on the floor. Slowly raise one leg until it's straight out in front of you. Hold for 2 full seconds at the top, then lower it with complete control. Do not let gravity do the work on the way down. 10 to 15 repetitions per side. The posture detail is critical. If you slouch or let momentum take over, the targeted muscles disengage and the circulation benefit disappears. As strength grows, add a light ankle weight or a resistance band for progressive challenge. Research consistently shows that older adults respond to progressive resistance training remarkably well, often faster than younger populations because they're building from a depleted baseline. Moving to number 3, the supported calf pump walk addresses something a landmark report from the National Institute on Aging identified as one of the strongest predictors of long-term independence in older adults: calf strength. Not cardiovascular fitness, not flexibility, calf strength. Seniors with well-developed calf muscles had dramatically lower rates of falls and were significantly less likely to require assisted living. The mechanics are straightforward. Every calf contraction squeezes the deep veins in the lower leg and launches blood upward. Weak calves mean blood pools, swelling builds, oxygen delivery to tissues drops, and your balance reaction time slows, the exact combination that precedes a fall. To perform this correctly, stand behind a chair or countertop and place one hand on it for light support. Rise slowly onto the balls of both feet, lifting your heels as high as you comfortably can, then pause at the top for 2 to 3 seconds while keeping your gaze forward, not down at your feet. Lower yourself back down over approximately 3 seconds. That controlled descent is not optional. It's where balance retraining happens. Start with 10 repetitions and build toward 25 as your strength increases. This movement simultaneously improves ankle stability, venous return, and your nervous system's ability to react during a stumble. Number 2 is the single leg circulation hold, and DoctorLeana considers this one of the most underappreciated tools in senior health. Large population studies referenced by the National Institutes on Aging show that the ability to balance on a single leg is among the most powerful predictors of future fall risk, mobility loss, and accelerated physical decline after 60. Adults who struggle with single-leg balance tests are several times more likely to experience a serious fall within the following years, and DoctorLeana has seen firsthand how quickly circulation deteriorates once falls begin, because reduced movement accelerates pooling, swelling, pain, and fear, a spiral that feeds itself. Here's the circulation mechanism at work. When you balance on one leg, your calf, ankle stabilizers, hip muscles, and core must all contract continuously and simultaneously to keep you upright. That sustained, prolonged contraction creates a muscular pump effect that regular walking cannot replicate, because during a normal stride, your single leg contact phase lasts only a fraction of a second. The hold keeps the pump fully engaged. Stand near a countertop or wall and lightly rest one hand on the surface. Shift your weight onto one foot and lift the other just an inch or two off the ground. Hold for 20 to 30 seconds, breathing normally, eyes forward, toes relaxed. Switch sides. Begin with 2 rounds per leg and gradually reduce your reliance on the supporting surface as your stability improves until you're simply hovering your hand rather than gripping. The sustained muscular tension keeps blood moving, conditions the stabilizing muscles, and sharpens the neurological reflexes that catch you when you stumble. And now, the movement DoctorLeana saved for last, the one that vascular rehab programs across the globe prescribe more consistently than any other intervention for restoring leg circulation after 60. The standing heel raise with a deliberate hold at the top. This is the exercise DoctorLeana teased at the very beginning, and the science behind it will change how you think about movement for the rest of your life. Your calf muscles are not simply muscles. They are pressure pumps, and when you rise onto your toes and hold that position, those muscles compress the deep venous network in your lower legs and physically drive blood upward toward your heart with a force that no other bodyweight exercise can match. The hold is everything. A quick rise and drop doesn't sustain the pump long enough to overcome pooling and sluggish return flow. The hold keeps the compression active and forces the stagnant blood to move. Stand behind a chair or countertop with your feet hip-width apart and your hands resting lightly on the surface for balance support. Slowly rise onto the balls of your feet, lifting your heels as high as you comfortably can. At the top, pause and hold for 3 to 5 full seconds while breathing normally and looking straight ahead. Then, descend with complete control over approximately 3 seconds. That is 1 repetition. Begin with 8 to 10 reps and build progressively toward 15 to 20 as your endurance and ankle strength improve. The data from vascular rehab programs is consistent and compelling. Seniors who practice controlled heel raises with the hold see improvements across multiple systems simultaneously. Venous return increases, lower leg swelling decreases, walking endurance extends, ankle strength builds, and balance confidence rises. And because there is no impact and the movement is performed with support, it is safe even for people managing arthritis, joint concerns, or significant balance limitations. So there is your complete 5-movement protocol, built on the same principles DoctorLeana applies in clinical vascular care. Walking remains valuable, and you should absolutely continue it. But walking alone leaves real gaps in the circulation and balance systems that become critical after 60. These 5 movements close those gaps in under 15 minutes a day, require nothing more than a sturdy chair or countertop, and can be done entirely at home. Now, DoctorLeana wants to hear from you. Which of these movements are you adding to your routine first? And did any of the science surprise you? Leave a comment below. And don't leave before watching the next video, where DoctorLeana reveals a single wall-supported exercise that outperforms walking for building lower body strength, joint stability, and balance in adults over 60. It looks almost too easy, but the clinical results are striking. Watch it next. It may be the most important 8 minutes you spend on your health this week.